everyone to PGL, where we have Yamato and Hylissang after winning with the Mad Lions for 6-0. And I was just checking, and I asked Yamato as well, how to pronounce Hilly's first name correctly. Zdravets.
Yeah, you did pretty good.
Nice. You do it.
Zdravets.
Nice. Okay. Okay. I actually always wondered, but I never had the opportunity to ask. So great. But more importantly, what a fantastic win. And I would say bounce back probably after the end of last week. So yeah, tell me about this game and why you think that it went so good for you.
Well, honestly, I'm happy we won, but I'm not really happy how we played. I feel like we had a lot of advantages. I think we did a really good job around the Maokai pick, but I feel like we also made so many easy mistakes that kind of make me sad because I feel like this should have been clean win, and we kind of didn't make it clean, and that's why I'm not too happy about it. But yeah, win is a win, and I feel like draft was on our side, even though they got the Yumi Zeri. I feel like we matched with a 5-5 pick, and I feel like the Maokai seems very strong on stage just because of the objective control that he provides, and his ultimate is just very powerful as well. So I feel like we got an edge there. And I also think that Niski played quite good mid lane, so he got very strong. He got a lot of items, and mid tower almost died to the Herald. So it was very easy to play through Niski and Maokai pick. So it was a good game, but yeah, we did make mistakes.
Okay, so. I like that though. He's critical, of course, of their own play.
It's classic Hilly. Is always instantly going into the reviews. I think this, in terms of draft, I liked it a lot. Even though it's on paper, you associate a lot of the champions you guys have with scaling. I think early on, you have Prio every year, you can push. Maokai has a lot of freedom, and then you can kind of choose how you maneuver yourself around the Rift Herald. This time around, of course, they dove you guys in the bot side, but I think all in all, easier draft to execute, and I kind of like the progress, because at least from outside, I feel like you guys are having the right ideas in the game, and I think early in the season, it's okay to mis-execute every now and then, but in terms of team cohesion and ideas, I feel like I can always kind of follow a red line in the game of what you guys are doing, and I think this is a very, very big positive.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I think we're still trying to understand how everyone thinks in the game, and sometimes we're not really on the same page, which fight we should take, or where we should be, or for what objective we're playing. So I think it takes a bit more time to be more crystal clear on the call, and I think we're on the right path, as Yamato said, that we are learning the same thing, and every day is something new, and I think it's very powerful when a team learns every day, and I think we can be a really good team soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think you already see it, right? But now it's about kind of honing in everything to make you as good as you can be. I feel like it's super interesting for you because you spent such a long time on Fnatic, and now you get thrown into a completely different environment. And I can imagine that is, of course, in part, difficult. Of course, change is always hard. But how much of it do you see as this big challenge of, oh, I've got all these different impulses now. There's a new coaching staff to work with, new players around me, new opportunities. Kind of, how do you see that as at this point in your career?
It's for sure challenging sometimes to understand what people really mean sometimes, especially in this industry where we're still somewhat kids, or some of the players. So it's very hard to get the point across in the right way. And sometimes we will hurt each other just by talking, just because maybe somebody misunderstands what the other guy is saying, and then we get stuck in points or something like that. Or it's just about the characters. Every team has a different characters, and you kind of have to get to understand them better, so you become a better team in a way. So I feel like this is the hardest point of changing teams, just to realize what does Ayoya mean, or what does Kazi want, or what is his play, these small things, to understand what he really means is very important for the team.
I wanted to ask you, Hilly, since now you jumped into a different team, I feel like there's always two sides of it. Do you feel like you are finding yourself within the team, or do you feel like now with a completely different roster, completely different staff, that you can reinvent yourself and work and build more strengths?
I think I've kind of always been myself. It just sometimes it's harder for other people to really take me as who I am. and sometimes I have to like change just a bit to be like more like to not go too far or like to not trade myself for like for something like a kill or like a flash. But in this team I can really be myself and not feel like people think that I'm playing bad or like I'm not doing something right. I feel like people trust me a lot in this team, and that's very nice feeling to have when you play the game, that you don't feel like judged or something.
Yes, yes.
And it can really unlock you or like play like very good when you don't have like thoughts in the back of the head like what if or like what if I fail, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's something that we heard, often from players that have played in Mad Lions and just from Mac and the coaching staff around it. Mac says himself, like for him, team culture is the most important thing, right? So it's nice to hear you say that because it means it's working. I wanted to ask you then about kind of Mad Lions in general, but maybe starting first in terms of your duo partner, Karzi. I always wonder, because you play against him for so long, and I wonder if you like create any, I wouldn't say prejudice, but like thoughts of how this person can be because you've played against him for so long, and then how different the reality was.
Honestly, when I didn't really know Kazi that much when I joined Mad Lions, like as a person. I mean, I knew that he's like very funny and crazy guy, and the reality is he's very funny and crazy guy. So like nothing like was too different. For example, when I joined Fnatic, like I had to like choose like ADC, and like Upset was on the list, and I don't want to play with Upset. Upset is too toxic, you know. That was his image. But when I started playing with him, like he was completely different person, you know. For example, this was completely different. I was like surprised that Elias or like Upset was who he is, and for Kazi it's exactly the opposite. He was who he is, you know. Like, like his image is him, and I feel like he's pretty good mechanically, especially. I feel like he also has good game knowledge, but I think his laning phase needs to be improved, and I'm working very hard on it. We're working very hard on it, and I think it shows. I think on stage we're doing pretty good, and he listens very good. I think he's the type of person that listens and gives ideas a lot, so it's very easy to work with him. And yeah, I like him. He's very funny, and yeah.
You're a tough teacher. You're like, it's like the sandwich of like, I'll say something super nice and then I'll just give some criticism and then I'll give I like
Kinda
it.
like you, no?
Yeah, exactly like me. Oh my God, called out. It's a very interesting way of giving feedback. But I think it also shows what you just said about kind of feeling at comfort with everybody, because Yamato, it clearly shows that the ideas can be spilled. People have given each other room to just be themselves and try new things, etc. And that's really good, I guess, especially in the beginning with a new roster.
No, for sure. I think this is how you reach the highest potential peak. In some teams, you are kind of put into a specific role and you don't get opportunities to grow because maybe you're afraid to make mistakes, maybe you're afraid to be judged. And I think this is the opposite of progress. You need to be daring, you need to be able to jump, and then if the fall is harsh, you need to have teammates that are there to catch you and to push you further. And I think always when it comes to player ability and player limits, I think it's so important to always contextualize it. And I think players function under different environments, under different circumstances, and I think the idea and the purpose of the coaching staff is to give that ideal environment to each fundamental player. And I think it starts in the trust to give players that opportunity to really, really grow.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to keep you too long because there's another 2 days of games, which is pretty intense. So I want to pull up the standings because there were so many upsets today. I guess when you came to the studio, probably saw the G2 game playing out. What did you think about that?
Honestly, when I saw them before the game started, I kind of knew they would lose just because they were like very sad. And this team requires them to be smiling and happy. And like when I saw Caps and like everyone, I feel like only Mickey was like laughing and joking around.
Ooh.
And everyone else was just, I don't know what happened. Maybe they had a rough scrim week or something. Something happened, I don't know what. But I could see that they were not G2 that we know,
Interesting. Yeah. And I know we always look at the G2 perspective, but mad props to SK also because they played that game very, very well. Of course, G2 also didn't play it that well, but it really doesn't matter. They got the win, SK, and they can be really proud of it. And it wasn't like a fluke win, right? They can really build on what they showed today.
No, for sure. I think just best of ones, they work like that. Draft precision is super important. I think that SK recognized what was needed in 4-5 with the Asia Cyan lock-in. It was a front to back. Varus and Lulu was shown, and then Sivir Yumi, of course. And then the bottom dive, you have Grace pathing into the opposite side, not recognizing that this dive can happen. All of a sudden, you're on the back foot for the rest of the game. And this is the volatility of BO1s. And if you don't stay sharp, you can get caught very, very easily.
Speaking of, BDS, of course, beat Fnatic earlier today as well. Heretics beat Koi, and that brings us to tomorrow's schedule because we have our match of the week, Mad Lions versus Koi, which is super exciting. How many? Oh, you're at the end of the day, of course. So maybe you can come to PGL again.
Okay, if Yamato is here.
We'll see. So talk to me about the match of the week then. Koi didn't manage to win their game today, so maybe they're like wounded prey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like they really want to win since they just came out of a loss, and I feel like they're a pretty strong team. So they for sure want to get this win against us very badly, but we don't care about that. And I feel like we will. I hope we get a good draft. I trust in Mark and Pat that they'll do a good job, and I feel like they're not as strong as we remember them. So yeah, I will see how they are on the Rift, but they feel or seem a bit different than the previous team they were. So I think we can take them down for sure.
Can you put your finger on it, like what it is?
I know that Koi was one of the teams that started off very slow in the off-season. They didn't practice too much in December, and they joined in January, so they were behind on that fact. Considering the meta hasn't changed too much, I think that's an important factor. I think at the same time, I think they're having kind of a identity crisis in terms of how they want to play the game. I think Shigenda is being put on carries, which comes with a lot of pressure. Malrang is always Malrang. I think that has been the person that has stood out the most. But I think the main issue I feel when I watch Koi play is as the game goes on and on, they are struggling to find themselves in situations where there are 5 people on the same screen. And it sounds so silly, but a big part of League of Legends is finding ways, being 5 people on the same screen and being in position to take fights. And often when Drakes are spawning, you have the AD carry on mid, 4 people on bottom side, and there's just no way they can contest anything at all. And this is where they lack that cohesion. Like right now, they're just not playing as a team. And I see everything that is positive is always on the hands of Malrang, and then occasionally some lane phase wins on bottom side. But other than that, Koi is not looking cohesive at all.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. You, of course, have a lot of experience of playing versus the bot lane, and I guess you and Upset and then Comp and Trimby were considered kind of the strongest ADC, or the bot duo rather, in the league. How do you think it's going to go specifically in lane, because you talked about the laning situation versus them tomorrow?
Honestly, I don't think we have scrimmed them that much with Kazi, so I think they're pretty strong duo. But yeah, I mean, depending on the matchup, I think if they get Kalista, we might get like under the tower, maybe Dove. But if we're playing like Yumi, Zeri, and this type of thing, I think it's very hard to get Dove. And I feel like we often get the push on whatever side we are with Kazi. So I feel like we get this matchup under control. Yeah, we'll see. Like if Ashe is open and stuff, I think this champ is very, very strong, and it can give bot prio and like can reveal the whole map. So I mean, I don't know what's the matchup, but I'm confident in Kazi and me. So we'll see.
Do you like playing Yumi?
No.
I'm just asking.
I don't really like playing Yumi, but I can play her. Yeah. So if today like they chose like we gave them like a question, like do you want the Yumi or the Lulu Sivir or Lulu Zeri? I would have had to play the Yumi side, so I can play it, but no, I don't like playing Yumi.
Okay. The last point I want to bring up is there's a madman on the other side of the world, Keria, and he's been just doing wacky things. Really, I guess, doing things that maybe in the past we would have said with Professor Hylissang could do. How have you been watching those games, and what do you think? Do you want to also show us some weird
Honestly,
things?
my Kalista is not as sharp on my Caitlyn, but I feel like the way he plays them is very unique. And it's not like... I mean, he does have the mechanics and stuff, but I feel like when you play like Hail of Blades and support, your goal in the lane, for example, is just to trade as much as you can. You summon us as fast as you can, so you just have more pressure. You have the bot prior. And I feel like he's doing it like very good. Even I remember when I was scrimming against him, he will like all in every level. He doesn't care. He just wants to have like presence in the lane and then like move around the map. So I feel like he's just very good mechanically, and his team also trusts him to play these picks, which is very respectable. And I think he's been doing a great job out of it. And yeah, I don't have anything but respect towards him, and I feel like he's just very good, you know?
Yeah, nice to know. Yeah, he probably looks up to you as well. Yamato, do you have anything else as we sign off?
No, I'm just excited for tomorrow's match. I'm happy that I visited the rooms of the players that I know today. Like I visited the Fnatic room, they lost, they got stomped. I visited the G2 room and then they got stomped, and I was like, I'm not gonna visit the Mad Lions room.
The Grim Reaper that
yeah, but that's like that's horrible. That's terrible. So I was like, I'm not gonna knock on the Mad Lions door. You know, I want to meet Mac and Niski. I want to meet my boy Hilly. You know, and I was like, okay, well, they're gonna win. Well, if I don't knock on the door, and then I'm gonna request make sure Hilly's on PGL, and then all is good.
Yeah, we enticed because you don't do the PGL that often. We're like, Yamato's there, and he misses Hilly. It's just the truth.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it really is.
So
I also miss you.
yeah, worked out great. Let's take a selfie, and then I can send you off.
Okay.
All right.
I don't think we don't have. Anyways, doesn't matter. We're gonna get a Polaroid, but it's not here yet. That's okay. This is also fun. Lovely. Thank you so much. That wraps up our day of LEC. And if you missed any of the action, stay tuned, as a rebroadcast will be starting in just a few minutes. And tomorrow, we'll be back, write it down, at 5:45 Central European time. So that's 15 minutes later than today, with a very special edition of Ready Check. Get ready to invest as we enter the Baron Pit. Good night. Welcome everyone to week 2 of the LEC 2023 winter season, live from Berlin, Germany.
Ho 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 ho. We need Luca. Where's Luca?
Perks, welcome. Joining us for the start of Ready Check. Fun.
Luca is doing interview.
Intio.
Intio Vitio?
Bro, I'm done with this. I want to leave now.
You want to leave already?
Yeah.
Interview. GG. No Luca.
I can leave, right?
Yeah, you can just leave. Don't
Yeah,
worry about
okay.
it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Free.
Thank you, guys.
Wonder, though, has his eyes on Adam.
Adam has Ragnarok. He's going to try and turn this one around. Wonder, you can go all out, but you can't get the Viking under your tower. Flashes. The chase continues. Wonder cannot escape.
What am I watching right now?
The League of Legends. None of that some scale for mid-game.
Okay, Abby is 1v9ing. Abby's 1v9ing.
I need help.
Abby is gonna 1v. Yeah, Abby solo kill. Abby solo kill.
Let's go, guys. Let's go.
That is it. Team Heretics taking the win.
They managed to pull off the win. Ebby had some huge standout moments. Jankos, insane early game.
Going forward, can't be looking for him. Not sure the flash is enough. Bo goes in. He's only level 5 though. The knockback from Perks is beautiful. Dayor, no flash for him. Perks takes Seonhung out of the picture. Gravity field.
so
no.
lucky.
Party Ruby wants it. Key points of contention. The Broth once again hit with the arrow. Michelle was waiting. BDS taking the scalp of Fnatic in a massive win.
And here comes the death ball. One after another. SK will fall. Broke away to the back line, trying to get anything, absolutely anything done.
Remembers now Ruby. That's such an incredibly long route to push back. Easy, quick pickup, and now another one gonna fall.
I think I'm fine right now.
I think you can win.
Nice. Luca, nice.
4-0 for Vitality, 14-0 for Bo in professional play now. Vitality continue to march towards a showdown with G2 on Monday.